Shut up and sit down.
Welcome to the Dial Podcast, number 2. You came back for another one? Thank you. Thank you very much. All three of you, thank you. We really do appreciate that. Now, your hosts, Matt DeGrand, Evan Price, and Jake Von During. Enjoy the show.
Hey, welcome back to the Dial Podcast. I am here with Matt LeGrand, Evan Price, and myself. I'm Jake Von During.
Hey,
thanks for coming back, guys.
Yeah.
All right. So we got some beers here that we need to open up.
Oh, yeah.
Jake, would you like a beer?
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Okay.
Beer me.
Let's see if I can find yours.
Matt is our beer supplier for today.
This is an extra special beer for Jake.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Oh,
There you go.
I don't know if you want to
thank you, sir.
yourself that.
This is for Jake's domination of Matt at the time trial on Jack Frost.
Yeah, the beer is called Total Domination. By
Fitting. Very fitting.
Even on the bottle, it says Jack Frost, to the victor go the spoils. So this was this for our little friendly bet, Matt?
That was for our friendly bet, yes.
Oh, excellent.
I coerced Jake into... I didn't give him much heads up. I think we were at Hopworks, which is a sponsor of the cycling team. And things were like wrapping up. And I think what did I say? Hey, let's have a bet on this Jack Frost time trial, which was the following week.
Yeah, I think we were about a week or two out. There was a caveat to this, though, wasn't there?
The caveat was it's pretty straightforward. It's just straight up time.
Yeah, but what kind of a bicicleta were you riding that day?
So the caveat was that Jake was no aero equipment, and I was full on aero helmet, full disc, deep wheels,
TT bike, skin suit.
Bikes. Yeah, well, I was in the dialed suit. I didn't have the full skin. suit.
Okay,
But,
okay.
yeah.
Well,
then that's probably
that must have been it right
has to
there.
be the
That was it.
That was
You know?
it. Yeah. So anyway, Jake somehow beat me by over a minute, and and earned himself a Ninkasi Total Domination IPA, which we are drinking tonight.
I think it's worthwhile to talk watts there. At a minute difference, Jake, what was the watts difference between you two?
Well, more than a minute.
More than a minute.
Yeah.
Was this like a minute 50? Is this like the guy who says he runs a 35 when he ran a 35:50?
I'm a 4-minute miler.
Yeah.
4:55.
4:55.
What was your average power, Matt?
That's a good question. I don't actually know off the top of my head, but I'm guessing it was about 240. And I'm pretty slippery in the air. I'm not a huge guy. So typically 240 I can do decently, like compared to a lot of people that are putting out a little bit more wattage. But I was doing some quick calculations like prior to racing, and I was thinking to myself, okay, if I'm 240, I think I can put together 50 watts worth of aero advantage. And then I thought to myself, that's not going to be enough. Because you can do the calculations, right? Like it's like disc wheel is 10 watts or whatever it is. Like you can start to figure out like roughly how much of an aero advantage you have. So I knew going into it I was a bit of a long shot, but I also don't mind buying Jake a beer. So
Well, thank you, sir. It tastes excellent. Thank
do
you.
you remember what your wattage was roughly?
Oh, good number. Yeah, actually I do. It was 364 watts.
Yeah, I was right there. Very close.
Boy. I was going to guess it had to be at least 100 more, but yeah. 120.
That was it was a good day. It was a nice day, actually. We had a really good showing that day, too.
We had great weather. Yeah.
Been a busy couple racing weekends for Dialed here, hasn't it? The last 3 weekends.
It has, man. We have been in full-on race mode. We started with that time trial, and I think we actually set a record. It's unofficial at this point in time, but I'm being told by the race promoter that was the most attended race for OBRA, the Oregon Bicycle Racing Association, by a team. So we had the most entries in a race ever. We had 56 people present for that race.
I've gone to races with 30 people. That's incredible.
Yeah. But again, it was a great day. And I think they set a record for the event as well. I think they were close to like 330 entries for the race, which, for a time trial in it's not even springtime yet. That's pretty awesome. Stellar.
That's impressive. I felt like that race has been declining, in numbers. So to see it jump back up ahead of the numbers that they had in the past, that's crazy.
Yeah. It's good stuff.
Wow.
Well, they're doing a good job. Zone 5 promotions. They they've really kind of gotten on their game with the promotion of the race. They've got a good web presence now. They're doing a good job with social media. So we're doing everything we can to support them.
I know Dialed had a ton of people that was like, this is my first bike race. And I was like, good on you, right? Like, be careful out there, but like have fun too, right? I mean, it's a time trial, so it's typically a little bit more safe. We had one athlete, one of my friends, that went down like a pothole or something. We're not sure, but she's come around already. She's she's back out there. So, and then I think there's a lot of people that were brand new to it that I saw that race, and I was like, that is really cool.
Yeah, it was good stuff. We also had. Matt's fumbling over his beer over there. Don't mind him. We had the mountain bike season start off. We've had quite a few mountain bike races already under our belt. I believe we're 2. Maybe not quite a few. I guess 2's not quite a few, but we had the Mudslinger. We had the Echo Red to Red race, and we had a bunch of Dial teammates out there. Did really well, a bunch of podiums. We had the Dirty Circles road race, which is basically just a little short 6-mile loop, and my race was only 36 miles, so it was not really that tedious or tenuous, but we just slipped into the first longer road race of the season this past weekend, or actually yesterday, and that was called Piece of Cake down in Hubbard, Oregon, and that was about 53 miles, if I'm not mistaken, and again, we had great representation for the team down there. We had a couple podiums, and there was a bunch of chaos and mayhem down there in that race as well. So a bunch of stuff going on. They actually disqualified an entire field, which is done, nullified, gone. Didn't even happen.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah. So to back up, you had Dirty Circles, which you raced, which you had a good group there.
We did.
And then, and personally, how'd you do? Okay.
I did all right. Yeah. It was one of those races where nobody was wanting to work. I was trying to put some stuff together. Nobody really wanted to play ball. A couple of our guys in the race were there and were kind of yo-yoing a little bit. They came up and did a little bit of work, but it's just a really flat race, and it's hard to get away. Some people that said they wanted to do work and try and create some breakaways didn't really come through on that end, so nothing really ever manifests. So it was, I hate to say it, kind of a boring race.
Did it sprint? Did you come down to a sprint?
It did come down to a sprint finish, and I tried a tactic that didn't really work out well for me, so I ended up with 4th place.
Yeah. And then how's the weather conditions?
Not bad. It was cloudy, cool, but no rain, not a drop of rain all day long, and probably about 45, 50 degrees.
How much was the wind affecting it?
Not much at all. We had just a mild breeze on one of the legs, and it never really played a factor. I was actually kind of hoping that it would, because you can actually play that to your advantage, and that's something that I've done in that race in years before. So
how do you, like, let's say you this is a lap course, for example, and you in this case you said there wasn't much wind, but what if there was? What would you have done? Like, wind's on your back on this section, wind's going to be in your face, on this other section. How would you use that to your advantage?
Attack.
Yeah.
Put yourself in the position of making them do as much work as you possibly can when there is no wind, and get them a little fatigued. Maybe cat mouse them a little bit heading into that, just so you can get them to do that work. You hit that wind, and you just basically have to jump and come around them and start working hard into the wind. And it basically comes down to who wants to do the most work, and if you're willing to do it more than the rest of the field or the lead group. You can create a breakaway, and if guys aren't going to start working, eventually you can gap them. And when it's not windy, you've just got to be able to bury your nose and create that gap and know that eventually they're going to give up.
So is it kind of like a hill, like, you've got wind in your face and you use that like a hill, like you try to make a breakaway there, or is it?
That's a very, very good analogy. Yes.
Yeah. I have no idea.
Yeah. It's just like that. If you come around somebody on a hill, and you're willing to put in a little bit more work than they are, and you're going to be willing to suffer, knowing that there's going to be a point in time where you can recover. and you're willing to work a little bit harder than you can, and maybe you can lay down the watts for a longer period of time and do the work that way, you can create that gap in that breakaway and try and hold on to that as much as possible.
And I think the main difference between, Matt, when you have that hill attack where, you can actually get away and really drop people, if you're dealing with a side wind or anything that's coming at you from an angle, echelons develop, and that's where you can really start guttering people. And I mean, from a block headwind, I think I'd almost rather take an echelon, because you can at least, that'll naturally break up the race. A headwind is somebody's got to have a lot of guts to jump out there out front and put down the watts required to get away.
Yep. So all good stuff. It came down, that particular race again came down to a sprint finish, and I'd raced with these guys before, thought that I could ride them off my wheel, and that just wasn't the case that day. For one simple reason, my right quad decided it wanted to cramp up on me just a touch and lost a couple watts on the right side, and they were able to inch me out there right at the end. So good race.
So then yesterday there was a race, and that was the Piece of Cake race?
The Piece of Cake Road race, correct.
Okay. And that's a 3-part series?
Correct. It is, yeah. It's the Willamette Valley... oh crap.
it's on the winner's jersey right behind
the leader's jersey. Yeah, we can probably go over there and reference it. But anyway, it's a 3-race series.
The last one has a wolf, I know.
A wolf.
It has a wolf on the picture.
Yeah, that's the one horse. Actually, it's a horse, not a wolf.
No, horse. Whoops.
Wolf. Yeah, same thing. But yeah, that's a fun little race series that it's new. The series itself is new this year. So they've brought back the Cherry Pie Road Race. They started the Piece of Cake Road Race last year, and the one horse is a brand new race on the schedule for this season. So again, those guys over Zone 5 are doing good stuff and putting together some fun series.
Mm-hmm. So at the race, we had the one that would just happen was Piece of Cake, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So we had a little Cat 4-5 issue with crossing the line there. Do we want to address that? I know that's been all over the Facebook recently. So
and the chat boards, yes. Yeah. The little issue was actually quite a big issue. They decided after the race that was probably the worst piece of racing that they'd ever seen, ever. In all years of bike racing up here. They nullified all of the results and basically disqualified the entire field. Everybody was guilty by association with that race, which is sad because we actually had a guy win the race on our team, took the podium. He ran a good race too, and it was really unfortunate that they dropped everybody. They had centerline violation after centerline violation entire race. There was a lot of bump and bars. There was, they said there was 2, maybe 3 crashes in the race, which included a sprint finish crash with one of our guys getting tied up in that, which he would have been on the podium as well. So it was a real sloppy race. I think that the main culprit behind them deciding to basically nullify all the results was the field was told that at the end of the race they will open up both lanes at 200 meters out. That's pretty much par for the course unless told otherwise. Yeah. And they decided to take both lanes at about 500 meters out. So basically you've got half of the field coming in hot and heavy, using both lanes when theoretically if a car had come the other direction, it's open for traffic to come through there. Yeah. I mean, seriously bad things could have happened, and that fortunately didn't happen, but they decided to kind of create a precedent and said to everybody that nobody gets any prize. There's no series leader jersey going out. There's no official results being recorded, and that they will talk to people individually after they have a chance to review the officials' results and to look at some photography that they had from the race. So yeah, it's kind of a sad thing, but that's a teachable moment that we can kind of come back and talk to our guys that are racing in the 4s and the 5s. There was a lot of new guys in there doing that race for the first time, and you don't want people to get tied up in some sketchy stuff, and you want people to enjoy racing, and you want them to be safe, and that just wasn't happening yesterday. And
so back to my 4-5 racing days, I was probably 19 or 20 at this race I'm going to reference. It was over in Michigan, so way east. And we had out in Michigan and parts of Ohio, very, very windy races, especially in the flat parts of those states. So we're always going to have, some the potential for a tailwind sprint, which I know you had mentioned there was a crash in that sprint. And when you're dealing with a tailwind sprint, I had done a race in Michigan where we were coming into the last, let's say, 500 meters, and there was a sharp right-hander right before the finish. And, a bunch of 4.5s clamoring to get to the front, and they did not open up the road till 200. So a similar situation happened where we hit that turn and guys are flying over into the left lane, taking the turns very wide to get around. There's cones in between. Oh. And all of a sudden you got 3 lines developing. And it's weird how when you have these crashes, anybody who's been in a sprint crash, you remember like every second of it. It's a weird, like it doesn't happen fast. It happens like very slowly. And we were picking up to, I think the last time I looked down, we were going 38 plus. We were encroaching. That's how heavy the wind was for this. And the line that had gone all the way out to the left decided that all 6 or 7 of them were going to swing back in. So they swing back in, gets congested quickly, and somebody clips a cone as somebody's trying to hop lines. And we'll talk about hopping lines, but that's where, especially when you're a 4.5 and learning about how you sprint race, it's important to remember that if you're going to go to another line, you're going to have to make sure that there's space there, because when you're going that fast, guys are not going to allow you into a line like we are at mile, 20 of a 50-mile race. There's absolutely no way that somebody's going to let you hop into their line at 300 meters if it's closed. And this guy tried to bully his way in, tried to play some bar wrestling right there and hit somebody. Somebody hit a cone, and the whole field went down. And, funny little segue to lighten that up a little bit. I hadn't shaved my legs yet as a cyclist by that point. So at the age of, I think I was 19, I was going on 20. I get to the medical tent after one of my military buddies goes all hero on us and is just like carrying our bikes and us up to the medical tent. And his name's Dave Cox, by the way, if he's listening. Dave, thank you for this, because I was pretty out of it after that. But my entire right side is missing, and I get to the medical tent, and the woman's kind of chuckling at me, and she says, "You might want to bite down on your glove." And I kind of, asked her, I was like, why would I need to do that? She said, "Well, we need to get this toothbrush and rub it over your leg to get the gravel out of there. It's going to get infected." Oh. This is like old school cycling stuff. Like apparently in Michigan, they just didn't have they didn't have medical supplies. They took an alcohol up new toothbrush and rubbed it into the wounds.
Oh, they used a new toothbrush?
It was a new toothbrush. Oh. She didn't take it out of her van or anything like that.
Racing in Alabama. I think Billy Bob's got a toothbrush. Don't bring it over here, Billy Bob.
He's going to take his hand and rub it out.
He's got one good tooth. He's going to give you his toothbrush. This boy needs to clean out some wounds. That's good.
Billy Bob was actually Matt. Matt was in Alabama. So. Yeah. But so I bit down on that glove, and she was right. I basically needed to bite a hole in that. And the very next week, after everything finally healed up, I shaved my legs for the rest. So,
yeah. So, takeaway: follow the damn rules, folks. Yeah. Follow the rules. They're there for a reason. They're there to protect you, and they're there to protect the other people racing with you. And it's to keep things safe and fun. And don't try and bully your way into a line, please.
Especially with a tailwind, it's not worth it.
Yeah. How about you, Matt? Do you deal with that kind of stuff in triathlon ever? What do you do when you pass people that get all pissy with you and throw some elbows at you?
The better, I think this is the same with cycling too, right? Where it's like the better that you get and the further up the field you move, the more I think tact people show and things like that. So it's not as big of an issue. You get out of the water far enough up, you get on the bike. People are pretty cool. People are pretty reasonable. So I haven't seen a ton of issues with that. That being said, I raced, if I bike, I'll be 4.5. So last year I raced a little bit, and it was tough, right? Like just avoiding the craziness and not switching, not going into crossing the line, right? Like you have this massive peloton breaking in front of you, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is ridiculous. I need to get away from this group. So one of the things I'm looking forward to is actually turning 40 years old and, aging up and out of the 4-5, whatever, 30 plus and into the Masters 4 to 5, so that, I think that'll help. I think people will be more likely to follow the rules, try to get home safely to their kids, not stress about elbowing their way in on a line or, not a big deal if you have to slow down for a minute and, wait for the peloton to string out. So,
yeah. If I could just press pause for 1 second here and say happy birthday, Matt. You just had a birthday a couple days ago. So you're
so I'm 39. So yeah.
One more year. One more year.
I know. I mean, it's yes, 40. Who else is like that? Like, yes, 40, new age group.
This is very much the triathlete
safe,
complex.
Right? Like, it's like, my big thing is not necessarily the age group in triathlon. Like, I'm excited about like the safety in cycling. Like, I really am.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I'm actually quite, and plus like Dialed has like a really good group of masters 3, 4, 5s, right? Like,
correct.
A really good group. And they, and so that'll just be more fun, I think, for me to cycle with that group. But, we'll see. Yeah.
Yeah. That group is awesome to race with.
Yeah.
And don't let numbers or age like deter you from the fact that they're talented cyclists. They're fast dudes that they put a lot of time, energy, and effort into their hobby and their sport, and their athleticism is fantastic. So.
Right. It's odd to look forward to like, oh, I get to race with these guys. Like, yes, I can't wait to turn 40. So yeah.
Good stuff. Evan, you're still a pup though. You've got some time before you can join us in
it's I may be 26, but I think I've been in a few of these sports long enough to I think it's like dog years. So I get up in the morning after long train days and I feel like I'm 45, Like my joints don't know that they're still 26. So
yeah, you're deceiving too. I would never guess that you're only 26 years old. I mean, the way that you carry yourself, your confidence, the way your professionalism, everything about you, like you're like an old soul, man. It's kind of cool.
You are an old soul.
I'm an old soul in a 19-year-old looking body. So that's definitely not quite aging up there.
It's not a compliment. No. There's no compliments handed out here.
Yeah, so it was that race on the day though. It was a fantastic day for some racing. We had great weather up here in the Pacific Northwest for an early April race, and it's 65 degrees, sun's out, everything's warm on you. Beautiful course and some farmlands. It was quite the day. So the 4-5 field, the men's 4-5 field aside, it was a lot of fun.
Personally, how'd your race go?
Pretty good.
Do you want to talk like how did it unfold? Do you want to talk about it? Or
very well.
Yeah, we had, I think it was 5 guys in a field of, I think it was about 30 people. Okay. So we came out, we kind of had some ideas, but we were kind of up against one other pretty big team. And God, I want to say they had 8 or 9 guys in the field, and they've got some horses and they've got some horsepower. They are pretty well collected in terms of their organization and how they go about their tactics in the race. So we kind of had to use what we had effectively. It was kind of hard sending people off, and it was kind of hard attacking, and it was making sure that we were keeping tabs on everything that they were trying to do. And then you've got other guys that were kind of coming together, like, the little ragtag, like independent guys, or a couple of other small teams that were trying to put together some different tactics. And at the end of the day, we were coming around on the last laps, and one of our thoroughbreds, Mr. Chris Handel, he unfortunately got a flat tire, cut a little piece of wire in the road, and had a slow leak in there. And he tried to squeeze off the front, and it worked out all right because we were able to get their big guys to come out and answer that, not knowing that he actually had a flat. So hopefully they burned a match or two. So he ended up falling off the back, and then we had another one of our teammates who surprised the hell out of me. His name's Carl. He was in the race. I didn't think he was still there. I thought he had fallen off. He, on the last lap, went out and attacked off the front and probably put in a good, 100 meters, maybe 200 meters at most. And people were starting to wonder, who is this guy and why is he out there and what's he doing? So they ended up responding to that because he's my teammate. I'm not going to track him down. Tried to do a little bit of sitting on the front and kind of slowing up a little bit to see if we could give Carl a chance to make it stick. But they ended up doing all the work to pull him back in. And then we were probably about a mile out after he got brought back into the group. And it really became a race of myself and a teammate named Sean against about 8 or 9 guys from the other team. We've got some pictures. It's kind of funny. There's myself and Sean, and then there's this sea of floral yellow behind us. And we played it perfectly. Sean was there and did a fantastic job of sitting on the right wheels, and we were marking everybody just right. And then we came into 1K, we came into 500, and they were starting to kind of create a train and down the right wheel, about three wheels deep, I think it was. Got to 200, and there was a little bit of chaos in there. There was a car that drove onto the course, but they ended up stopping, and we all just went around, but it didn't. I don't think it changed the race too much. and jumped the last wheel that I needed to jump with about 20, 30, 40 meters to go, and took the win. So it was a good race.
So a little bit of a sprint then. Towards
1,400 watts worth.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So
1,400. No. Matt, what's the highest number you've seen on a sprint? This is a funny question to ask triathletes. Me included.
Do you mean like what numbers have I seen personally for myself, or are you talking about
highest like 5 second?
Oh, I mean like this is just me playing around at home and stuff like that. I think like 800, 900 somewhere in there. Like
come on, you've done more than that.
I'm serious. I mean.
I think 800 is as high as I've ever seen on myself. Yeah.
And if like a 5 second or less sprint.
I mean, it was like on a trainer. This isn't like race situation sprinting, but
okay.
Yeah.
That'd be fun to, I don't know, go out there and give it a go. But still, I don't. I mean, I'm not going to crack 1,000. So
give me and Matt some time, and then we'll have a little sprint race this summer, and then we'll update it for you all. Yeah,
we're just gonna spin from now until then until in the winter.
It'll be a massive 900 watt sprint between the two of us.
if you add our watts together,
that's true. Yeah, it would need to be both,
and we need to spend some time in the weight room until then. So
I wonder if the two of us combined could equal Jake. Close.
Yeah,
it'd be close.
Right. Yeah, that's actually
just looked it up. There's 1,405 watts.
Whoa,
that extra 5 actually is going to mean a lot, because that means one of us has got to put out over 700.
Yeah.
Now we've got some good evening rides coming up. We'll have to set up a little drag race between you and Evan, and
I like that.
That could be fun. Maybe they incorporate it into like a beaches ride or something like that we do. It's a little fun ride that we do on Monday nights.
Matt's got to get his cycling butt back. He's going to have to get in the weight room and squat a little bit.
Squats.
It's mostly just squats, right?
I don't know. I don't know.
So anyway, great race. Good times. We put up a lot of points. Our team is still in first place in the team bar, which is the best all around competition, and we're really looking to try and hold that down for the rest of the year. So good stuff. I'm proud of the team.
That is
proud
crazy.
of everybody's accomplishments thus far.
Right, and I contributed, didn't I?
Oh yeah.
That's important for me.
You brought some points for us in Jack Frost. We just got to get you to come out and do some road races.
It's something I thought would never happen. It's like contributing points to the Dial team, like the Dial.
There
team,
you go.
Right.
Yeah.
Unless it's in triathlon, which we'll have our own separate.
I was going to say
system.
Matt's the one guy right now going cycling and triathlon, which is great. So getting points for both of us.
I'm sure there's someone else that's doing that.
Yeah, we've got a couple people actually.
Well, is Carl going to race triathlon?
Oh yeah. He's training his butt off. Carl Bailey, right?
Yeah, he's going to do
Carl's strong.
He's going to do great. Yeah.
We're gonna have some fun with our Dial triathlon team this year.
Yeah. Did you you got in the pool with him not too long ago, didn't you?
Yeah, and he can swim, which was scary. I was like, oh yeah, you can come swim with me. Let's just don't push it, buddy. Like get in the water and I'll show you some tricks, some things I know. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, you grew up swimming. This is gonna be a hard workout for me. He the first thing was like, just a couple easy 50s, and I was just like, oh geez, these are not easy 50s. He's strong in the water, which is awesome, right? Because I've known him for a couple years, and it's all been biking, and I'm like, this is good. He's a good cyclist, but you get in the water, that's different, right? Like that's like my territory. Not that I'm a great swimmer, but like, you expect these good cyclists not to be strong swimmers.
Yeah,
that was not the case. So
yeah.
That's the thing is I've realized swimming. So kids who grow up swimming, if they don't stay with it, cycling is an awesome transition sport. They've already got a massive aerobic engine, and that just translates so well to the bike, because running just takes years and years of different tissue adaptation. Cycling you can transfer to a little bit easier.
Because there's mechanics are different, right? The ankles are so different, flexibility, all that stuff is so different going from swimming to running. But what you mentioned earlier was like aerobic capacity, which for the high school level runners and even like collegiate runners, like it's just all about developing that aerobic capacity. Which, so if you have that swimming background, because they start swimming at like 5 or 6 years old, and they swim and they're going to go swim for over an hour, and they're going to, so they'll do, and basically a lot of these kids will swim twice a day. So it's like you do all this aerobic capacity work that you can't even do running. You probably don't do it biking either, but you can't do it running, because you can't run. You can't take like a 7-year-old and have them run twice a day, right?
No, yeah.
So you take them, they're great swimmers, and then they switch over to running. And if the mechanics are okay, they got the aerobic capacity, they do extremely well on the running side, which is cool.
And this is the cool thing about triathlon over the next 10 to 20 years is, we are going to be old and slow here in the next 10 years. Old and slow. I mean, like, there are kids coming who have been swimming since they were 5 or 6, good high school swimmers. I used to have a friend who used to always say the most dangerous ITU kid is a kid who swam well in high school and raced collegiately track and field.
Yeah. Well,
those kids are unbeatable. You get them on a bike and it's over.
That's what they actually have, like a USAT program where they scout those people. So, you know, and that's basically the question marks are like, are you running in college?
That's how Gwen was found.
Yeah. Do you have a swim background? Like, you have those 2 things ticked. Okay, we'll teach you to bike. And that's what they do. And they take them, and they, like, you finish your running career in college and you have your choice. You're like, you can go try to run pro, or we'll pay for you to come out to Colorado Springs and you can train, you know, with this USAT program. It's USA Triathlon.
Yeah. Hey, I got a question for you then on that front. They're doing a lot of the recruiting for these kids in college, correct?
Yeah. Yeah. I think so the US, I mean, I don't know. I mean, eventually it's like, you have foreign people looking in, and a lot of them will say like, wow, US program is really good at that collegiate level. There's not a lot of support after that. So collegiate running is fantastic. You know, you have a team of people, you have trainers, you have a huge support group, which you don't see as much in triathlon. We're starting to. You definitely don't have it in cycling as much, but running, right? Like, you have 3 seasons, you know, year-round running, year-round training. And so it's that post-collegiate part that's tricky. You know, you have people that are great athletes, but they're done with their, you know, they could get faster, but at the same time it's like they got to go get a job and they can't train, you know, 30 hours a week or whatever it is. So
and a second question to that, who's the world leader in triathlon? Where do you find the most gifted triathletes? Is this a US dominated arena, or is this starting to become more like it's all over the place, or is there another country that's dominating over us?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So
depends on like the distance of racing too.
Depends on the year too, right?
Yeah.
Like
Ironman right now, Germany is dominating. Ironman, like full Ironman distance. Germany is.
And it's interesting too, because I feel like a lot of the European countries, they grow up biking a little bit more than they do in the US.
Definitely.
So I think that plays a big influence. But ITU, like you said, you mentioned Gwen earlier. She dominated. She absolutely like went through the ITU season and didn't lose a race. Like, she was just like, she finally got her bike figured out, and it was like, if she comes off the bike within sight of the next person, she'll run them down, because she ran for Wisconsin, which is, you know, a pretty strong running program. So, and she has a swimming background, so her swim was okay, you know? So I think that's for the US, that's what you'll see. In women's ITU, because we had Sarah True, we had like a handful of girls at that ITU.
Taylor Spivey too. Yeah,
we have like a handful of US girls that were really good. And
Summer Cook was another. So Summer and Gwen were both 2 of the better runners to really come through, I think, the USAT program.
And that was really like this previous Olympic year. And things change. You know,
Gwen leaves the sport and there's a massive vacuum, and it's been cool to see actually for the it's been fun just to see the women's ITU field, I think, open up as soon as she left, you know, So
that said, do you think you'll ever see triathlon trickle down into the high school level as being a high school discipline, or a part of the athletic programs in high schools? You're starting to see it a little bit in cycling, especially with NICA, the high school mountain biking league. If I have my way with it, we'll have more road racing injected into the youth community as well.
So I'll say this. I think the easy answer is yes. You know, it's like, it's in some ways, you know, we can be optimistic. We can say, yeah, you know, I think we're going to start these programs. Other people in the area that are passionate about this, you know, sport are going to start these programs, whether it's mountain biking, cycling, like triathlon. There's a lot of opportunities to start triathlon programs in this area and like push it all the way down to the high school level. But for fun, I'll say no, I don't think so. And to play devil's advocate, just because, you know, we're on a podcast and we're discussing this over radio. So like, the reasons I don't think it will happen are because I think the numbers in triathlon are going down. I think less and less people are picking this, and there's other activities like mud runs and Spartan challenges, CrossFit. So I don't know if it's not a sport that's really gaining steam, then I don't know if it's going to trickle down to high school. And I do think the collegiate stuff, like everything is going really well and it's going in the right direction. I think like collegiate triathlon is looking excellent. But, you know, if the sport's declining, then, you know, it may not make it.
Here's the thing with, and this was really out east. There are a lot of budding collegiate triathlon teams, but here's the interesting thing about it. So we may look at it and say, okay, these numbers are increasing. There's now a USAT high school triathlon national championship. There's a collegiate one that's been well attended. But if you look at the top guys at that collegiate level, they're all European. They are, a lot of these teams are, the Europeaners see that there's these scholarships available for triathlon. They grow up youth in their program, excel, and then they say, well, I'm going to go get a scholarship, and they come over to America. So when you look at the best teams, even your Colorados, which have a lot of, you know, American kids, but even your schools like Liberty, Queens, you know, Colorado State, Colorado, the best male programs I know of and female programs there. There's a lot of foreign influence, which is great, but it's not showing that the sport's growing on U.S. soil.
Yeah, and then I also wonder, like, because triathlon is this 3-sport system, are you getting, like, you know, I mean, you're not getting the best swimmer in the world, right? They're going to go swim in college. You're not going to get the best runners in the world. They're going to go run in college, right? Yeah. So, I mean, and that's not to say that it couldn't happen that someone's not going to, you know, choose triathlon over running track and field. Like, my recommendation to a really good runner would be to go run in go run high school, run all the, you know, maybe do some triathlon in the summer, and then, like, you know, college, right? Like, it's like, no, you need to go run collegiately, and dabble in the summertime with triathlon. So it's definitely like the redheaded stepchild of, like,
absolutely,
the, you know, of the NCAA system, right? Like, it's not. I know that they brought in, like, officially women's triathlon into the NCAA system.
It's a sanctioned sport,
right?
Now,
and it's just so, but still, it's not both guys and girls. It's still, you know, it's like hard to say, like, you know, are they getting leftover athletes? Some people would say yes.
I would personally agree with that. Yeah, I think and that's just playing devil's advocate. There are people who disagree out there, but yeah, I think when you look at it, the reason that somebody like a Gwen or like a Morgan Pearson can come into the sport and be successful is because they are bona fide runners. And then when they come in, you know, all they got to do is figure out the bike. They have their swim background.
Right.
And, you know, talking to somebody like Jake who understands the cycling world, the ITU, the stereotype for your ITU cyclist is they're not very strong. And I'm probably going to get some bad looks at that, but I feel like,
well, what's your
being
email?
somebody
what's your personal phone number?
I'll give that out in the next episode. But I was somebody who grew up around a lot of bike racing, so I came into the sport triathlon as a cyclist. You know, a cyclist. I like to pretend that I was a runner, but I was really cycling was always my stronger event. So I got to see, like, how weak triathlon cyclists actually are when you put them into, like, a road racing situation. So I think that's one place where I like how the U.S. system, I think, has kind of started to take a focus on the cycling aspect of triathlon. Because you look at somebody like a Ben Canute, one of the best cyclists in triathlon. I mean, guys race Pro 1-2 races on the road and done very well.
Does that stereotype hold up with triathletes and being terrible bike riders?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, stereotypes are stereotypes for a reason, right? No, I mean,
nobody at this table, right, Matt?
Yeah,
we're both excellent cyclists.
No, yeah. I mean, just I'm a little shaky when I get on the bike, but yeah. No, I think you know, the stereotype for triathlon cyclists is all the gear, all the aero equipment, and not a lot of bike handling skills.
Yeah,
so
90 cents in gear and 10 cents in bike handling skills, right? Yeah,
right.
Good.
Yeah. So.
Seen it before. Can't say that I haven't.
And that's okay. That's okay. You know, like, in my mind, like, we'll take anybody. Come on. Like, and I think that's the USAT's mantra is like, hey, we'll teach you all the biking stuff. You know, like, we can do that. We can get you there. Like, because and I think biking is good this way. It's like, you put in the work, you'll get better at biking. So that's good.
Okay. Hey, let's change gears real quick and jump into a little segment that we'd like to bring up from time to time. It's something that these three knuckleheads are going to call the errors and omissions segment. Oh. So, and we'll maybe come back and answer a few questions too that were brought up in previous discussions and let you guys know give you an update on what those things were. So, Evan, would you like to start us off with anything?
You know, we might as well just rename this segment like Fact Checking Evan. I think we can just call it Fact Checking Evan, and we can get anybody who wants to call me out on anything. like to address it. So first,
is this a good time to be like, send your comments
First,
here,
I
send
need-
your emails here, corrections go to this brick wall.
Evan's
back here.
personal phone number. Yeah.
And real quick, if you ever do want to email us with any questions, call us out on anything, fact check us. You can send your scathings or your compliments or all that other stuff to info@dialedcycling.com. We'd appreciate that. That's some feedback. That'd be great.
Or just our personal Facebook pages too. You just get on there. But
Yeah.
so first I have to apologize to the state of Alaska, which has the most national park acreage.
That makes sense.
How I didn't think of that, I'm
Yeah.
amazed. But
you were probably think continental.
Idaho's number 3 though, so they are up there.
Yeah.
Not too far off.
They're in the
Yeah.
they're in the top 50.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just
You nailed
apparently
it. You
Idaho
nailed it.
biased.
Top 50. Yeah, come on, man.
I'll try and come up with an interesting Alaska fact next time so that I can kind of even it out. And
And it doesn't have to be true.
Yeah,
no,
you know what?
no.
Matt actually talked about a friend of ours who's a local cyclist named Corey. We'll have to talk to Corey about this Ironman deal that he's doing up in Alaska. Do you know the specifics
yeah.
on that? He told me, and I just went, "You've got to be joking me,
but
dude!
we'll
Come
look
on,
it,
man."
We'll look it back up, and then when we do corrections next time, we'll actually bring up the details. But the race he's signing up for, or has signed up for, and gotten accepted to, is the Alaskaman Triathlon, and it's a longer race, and I think it's a 5K swim.
That just
and
sounds
it's,
painful.
But the water's cold.
I think he said it was like the mid to low 40s, if I'm not
Oh
mistaken.
my gosh.
Yeah. I mean, the water's cold, and I feel like there's certain like currents or something.
Is
like
that wetsuit legal? Dude,
No.
do they even have to check?
Yeah, you have to strip down, go buck naked into the water, I think is the rule.
Let's make sure to take the water temp before the race just to make sure.
Yeah, that's a fine detailed point of the rules. But and then I think it's a hilly bike ride. I don't remember what it was distance wise, maybe 100 miles or something like that. And then
but brace
marathon.
yourself for the finish. Tell us about the run.
Is the run? Do you finish uphill? Is that
It's like a normal run, but I think he said something to the effect of like the last 5 or 7 miles, there was like 7,000 feet of elevation gain.
Oh my goodness.
I mean,
It's absolutely nuts. And you have to have somebody along with you just in case something goes
And
sideways.
Matt already knows this saying, a marathon doesn't start until the last 10K. So that marathon doesn't, my gosh.
Yeah, I mean it's a pretty scary race. I mean, that's why I wouldn't sign up for something like that. Like an Ironman is scary, but yeah, you're gonna be fine. It's just like, no, you're not gonna be okay. The water, you might not come out of
there's
the
gotta
swim.
be somebody
like,
with
there's
you.
Dangerous. That's
I
a
kind of
dangerous
like that,
event.
man. More power to him. We should bring him on.
Oh,
I
yeah.
love talking about races like that. Those just crazy endurance races.
Norseman is like the classic one. That's it's a race in Europe, and it's similar in concept to Alaskaman. It's like longer swim. And then I think the bike ride looks really cool. I mean, you could Google this and check out some YouTube videos. They're absolutely beautiful and stunning. But then the marathon is like you climb up this mountain and you're bouldering up rocks to the finish line. I mean, it looks ridiculous. It's absolutely crazy. So,
Absolutely nuts.
yeah.
That's some serious shrinkage too.
Oh
And that
my
water.
gosh, yeah.
No.
Yeah. I would just put on 2 wetsuits. Is that a thing?
Yeah.
Is that allowed?
They have these thicker wetsuits. I think I want to say, oh man, I don't want to mess this up. Blue 70 might have this like thermal wetsuit now. This is like a new thing that some of the wetsuit companies are doing. So you do that. You do
We'll
one of
look
the
that up
thermal
and put in
caps.
theirs if he's wrong.
Corrections next week.
Yeah.
But yeah, booties, thermal cap,
I think
and
I've
then
seen
the
what you're
thicker,
talking
the thicker
about.
wetsuit. But yeah, so I mean, at least they know that like you're gonna be racing in it, so your arms will be able to move a certain way or whatever.
That was always what we were told whenever we would start early season open water swimming, was that you've got to protect the face, because as soon as you have basically temperature sensors in your skin right around your temporal
Scary.
region, and if you hit those, your body will go very protective. You can spasm out. Your blood pressure can drop pretty quick. So there's definitely
And
some
this,
safety
folks,
issues.
is why I stick to riding bicycles.
yeah.
crashes are nothing compared to swimming in 40.
Pass.
So when's the first open water swim for us?
Me and Derek were just talking about that. Maybe mid-April,
Okay.
couple weeks.
Sounds good.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
I'll bring my rowboat.
Yeah.
Oh, and I've got one last correction here. So I gave somebody 6 seconds on their 5K.
Oh.
Gwen went 15:15.
Oh, Gwendolyn. She's like
So much slower than 15:09.
I feel like she's constantly brought up on this podcast. So
Yeah.
that's good.
I gotta look this
Yeah.
person
you
up,
should check her out. Did you look her? Okay, yeah.
No,
so
I will one of these.
she's got
days.
a new vlog out, and if you just search for Gwen Jorgensen on YouTube, you'll be able to find it.
No, I thought we were talking about Gwen Stefani. I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry, wrong.
Is she
Gwen.
making a presence in triathlon lately, Gwen Stefani?
Yeah, I think it's gonna be big.
I think her
And,
last song was like 20 years ago. So
Well, it's about time for triathlon.
there
if
you go.
if you type Gwen into Google, she comes up fourth behind Gwen Stefani age, and then Gwen Jorgensen. So yeah, there she is.
Gwen Stefani's age makes it. That's the world we live in.
Yeah. So Gwen's had started up a new vlog. You guys can go on YouTube and you can follow her, subscribe to her channel. But she's doing great. She's switched over to running. She's not doing triathlon anymore, as far as we know. I mean, once you win gold medal, right? Like, where do you go from there?
Where do you go?
But yeah, I think she's
She is one of those people who makes a still image look like she is straight flying. She looks like she's flying in this picture where she's running. She's got a giant smile on her face, and there's nobody around her. That's awesome.
She was on a different planet running wise when she was in triathlon. Like, it was almost too easy for her at some point.
She just won the night before last. She won the Stanford 10K.
Yeah, she went 31:55, I think, for that, and I got that time right this time. Oh, I'm almost positive.
Yeah. So she's she's doing great. She's doing well on her running. I mean, I think people were probably expecting her to run a little bit faster, and I think she maybe was expecting herself to run a little bit faster, kind of like, I don't know, 31 mid or whatever it is. But yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter. It's racing, right? Like, she won her race. So, yeah.
She's moving up to the half here soon anyway, so I think it was just a stepping stone.
I think that, the half will be challenging, and I think she'll do well. So, we'll see.
And so here's the spot where I don't really get to do Arizona missions, but you had asked, Evan, if I'm not mistaken, about the little bicycle shop I used to frequent, my fond memories of a kid.
Did you say the name of it?
It was Fallbrook Cycle and Hobby, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
And Google told me that they this is the part where you can cue the sad trombone. They went out of business.
No.
Broke my heart. So anyhow,
we should start a Bring It Back campaign.
Bring it back
hashtag thing.
Yeah, bring it back. Fallbrook Cycle and Hobby. So yeah, they are gone. But anyway, hey, another quickie. Let's do and I didn't really talk to you guys about this beforehand.
Sure.
So just start blogging not blogging, but running your brains. Let's talk about what you guys are listening to right now for music when you're training. That's something that we're going to bring up frequently here. Just like, what we're listening to, what we got going on, things to get us motivated.
Okay. Yeah.
Matt,
I'll start, right?
Excluding Taylor Swift.
Oh yeah. Oh shoot, I forgot. Yeah, only Taylor Swift. No. So I actually think about this, like, depending on the ride, and this is important because when you're laying out your week of workouts, you have your, oh man, I'm gonna have to dig deep on this particular workout, and that's, whatever, that's like Tuesday or whatever it is. And then you have your Wednesday workout where it's like, okay, this is just easy, easy cruise or whatever it is, just like turn. So for those, I'll turn a movie on. I won't necessarily have music at all.
Gotcha.
But the Tuesday workout, when you're going to hurt, I don't have a movie on. I mean, I'll usually leave like Zwift on in the background if I'm doing a workout, but if I know I'm gonna hurt, it's classic rock. It's classic rock. And I'll play Pandora because I can play it through my TV with decent sized speakers.
Yeah.
And sometimes what I'll do is like, you have this last rep, right? And that's like the one that you're gonna go all out on, right? And it's like, that'll be hopefully something along the lines of like AC/DC or something like that. Yeah, like Back in Black or
maybe
something.
Maybe some Metallica.
Not
as much a Metallica guy.
No, I mean, I like Metallica. That's fine for rep number 3, 4, whatever. No problem with that.
Doesn't bring it home.
But sometimes what I'll do is if on as Pandora radio is playing, AC/DC will come through or whatever, and if it's close to the end, I'll pause it. Because it's Pandora, right? You can pause it, but you can't really like.
You gotta save that good song.
You can skip it. So I'll save that good song, and then as soon as my last rep is coming on, I'll unpause it, and I'll even look. I'm so fanatical about it. I'll look at how long my rep is, and like I'm like, okay, well this rep is 3 minutes. This song is 3.5 minutes. So halfway, whatever it is, 30 seconds into the song, I need to pause.
Yep.
I need to be ready to go, and it needs to get me all the way through that whole last rep, right? So, so for me, classic rock, AC/DC is definitely the go-to music. There's some other good options, but I think that would be my recommendation.
Angus, not Angus. I'm sorry, Brian Johnson, or harkening back to Bon Scott.
Oh, I don't know. Back in Black is like, what, you know, any of their, whatever their greatest hits album. I wouldn't say that I'm like the biggest AC/DC fan. I just feel like for workouts, it's good.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. That's definitely in my rotation as
Is
well.
it?
So
Okay.
AC/DC. Yeah.
Does it get you, like your watts are slowly escalating up? You see the numbers
You hear
go up.
those? You
There's
hear
a
those?
recent study that shows absolutely like,
yeah.
high tempo music increases performance.
If you're riding behind me and Hell's Bells hits,
Right?
you better
Oh, yeah.
freaking hold on, buddy.
You hear that gong,
Yeah.
you know, or whatever
Little
it
bit
is.
Thunderstruck, yeah.
Thunderstruck,
Yeah.
yeah. Really funny, like side note, right? Like
You both are so aging yourselves right now.
Yeah,
This
well,
is-
well, and AC/DC. I mean, I don't know. I'd say AC/DC was probably it was older music back even when I was young. So it's just,
yeah.
But what was interesting is like I used to have this running joke with a friend of mine, and we would like listen to music before we raced whatever cross country or track or whatever it was, and we had this joke, and it was like, oh yeah, this race doesn't even matter. I didn't even play AC/DC before we started the race. Like that was the thing. It was like, oh yeah, it's like, is it on? Then it's Thunderstruck. Then we have like that, like to amp us up before the race. Like we needed to be amped up. But no. We wanted to talk about like race anxiety at some point.
Yeah, be on the next episode.
It could
if I'm
be
not
a
mistaken,
future podcast. We're definitely going to touch on that subject. But one of the things that, you know, I worry about coaching high school kids is like, how's our anxiety levels? Because there's definitely like, you know, you want people amped up, but there's a fine line, right?
Yeah.
It's like, are we too amped up here, guys? And
This-
oftentimes we are.
This is the difference between a sport like football and cross country.
Yeah.
You want your kids ready to go, but you're like, I'd like your heart rate roughly at resting before this race gets going.
There's no reason for you to be freaking out right now because you got 30 minutes until your race.
Yeah.
So,
Gotcha.
yeah.
How about you, Evan?
Music wise, well, let me bring a look. I will absolutely listen to any of the older stuff. I used to listen to quite a bit of like Linkin Park when I would train.
Yeah.
It's kind of the newer stuff I would listen to. A lot of rap lately.
Like Macklemore, do you like that?
No, not that
No?
kind of rap.
Like
Like
just-
bad rap.
like
Just
bad
like
rap?
not good. Like not even good music. Like Future stuff. Any Future fan out there can send me a personal message
Yeah.
that you're angry. But yeah, stuff like that. I don't even like the music. It's just I need to like not have to think about stuff, and that music is perfect for not having
Perfect.
to analyze anything. Yeah.
On the bike, do you listen? That's what you're jamming to on the bike?
Usually I'll actually turn on old bike races, but yeah, if I'm doing intervals, I'll turn it up. So like I do a lot of watching like the early Tour de France. So before I actually got the YouTube on my TV,
The YouTube.
I used to actually have DVDs of every Tour de France since 1999, I believe. 99. It was the Lance's
Ooh.
first year.
I'm on one of your DVDs. Seriously, 2003. You have that?
Yes.
You have the
Oh, yeah.
the disc that you like
Uh-huh.
purchase, right?
From the French.
yeah.
the-
Let's look sometime. Okay.
oh, we're gonna look that
Yeah,
up.
because I'm running next to Lance or someone with the American flag like markered on my back.
I've watched that enough that I probably could pick out the scene. That's incredible.
More Zine France.
Okay. Oh, we gotta look.
So
that
you
up.
were there. You got
Yeah.
to.
I ran like 10K out in the mountains and then just found a hill that was not, that there weren't a ton of people around.
Yeah.
And then, you know, you see a couple breakaway people or whatever, and then you ran. I mean, I ran with Lance and and they were actually going really fast, so I wasn't
Yeah.
able to stay with them for like, I mean, I'll be on there for the blink of an eye, but I'm
Yeah.
on the DVD, but I don't think I was on some of the other coverage. And then as you're like, then I ran back, right? So it was like pretty decent. I was a decent runner back then. So I ran back and I'm running around, whatever. And the back of the pack guys are not going that fast. Like I can
the
like
sprinters.
I can like
Yeah,
run
the
up on.
autobus.
I'm like, yeah, I can run up on these guys. I'm like, those guys I could run with for like 3 seconds, and you guys I'm like running up on. Like there's some really different paces going on.
Oh yeah.
Coming from a running background, like no, pretty much everyone runs the same pace. Like within a couple minutes of each other, like everyone's running fast.
And that's where we can have some fun episodes about like cycling history, because I really do enjoy. I grew up around cycling. The reason I'm such an adamant Lance Armstrong fan was because my dad was when I was young. So
yeah.
always grew up watching the Grand Tours. As I got a little bit older, liked watching the Belgian classics too and all that. So yeah.
So yesterday you did a workout on the trainer,
Yes. Yeah.
and it was like a tempo ride, or what's
Long ride, just long ride in general.
So that was
Yeah.
Tour de France tapes.
No, that was
Right.
actually Flanders previews. I watched a lot of Flanders previews,
Oh, nice.
which happened today. Yeah.
Yeah.
Big race. Nikki Terpstra took it home. The Quick Step team, the Quick Step machine took another classic. So yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, we can definitely have some future bits here as the Grand Tour is coming up, talking about some Grand Tour history for anybody who's interested.
Sure, that'd be great.
The Giro, I'm biased. I'm Italian. The Giro's my favorite. So.
Oh yeah. Okay, so the Giro is the only Grand Tour that's keeping podium girls. Is that correct, or did I just make that up?
Matt, you just nailed that, and also that does not surprise me. Let's be honest. If there was one Grand Tour, it would be the Italians who were just like, "Nope, we're keeping the podium girls."
Yeah,
cool. Well,
we got some fun stuff to talk about in the future here, definitely.
For sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well, as for my playlist, not that anybody really cares. I'm kind of boring. I guess I'm the oldest man at the table too. So.
84.
This is the most important playlist. You've listened to the most music of any of us.
That's true. That's a very solid point.
That's a nice way to put that you're a little bit older.
No, actually, I'd like to. I've got such music whiplash. I mean, you'll go from like the old classic stuff. You'd be hearing some Zeppelin, or jumping into a little bit of AC/DC like Matt over here, and then next thing you know, you're listening to the Chainsmokers, and then you're back into like maybe like a Braveheart song that'll jump in, and the next thing you know, you got Easy-D singing some Boys in the Hood. It's just my music is all over the flipping place, and those are things that just get me pumped up. And I've got a whole Spotify playlist called Jake's Riot List, and it's got probably, I think the last I looked, it's about 125 songs in there.
So you can get a long ride.
Oh yeah.
We should each week we got to pick one song. So it was your one interval song that week that really got you going. Cannot be Thunderstruck every single time. It's got it, and it cannot include Taylor Swift.
I'm out.
We're putting a moratorium on Taylor Swift here.
I'm out. I have no options.
Unless you have some like unheard Taylor Swift song, like one that's like off, like a very hipster Taylor Swift song to like.
No, that's a good idea. And it could be like you had this workout, which song did you use for your last interval or whatever it is, so that might be interesting.
Good stuff. Okay, you guys spending a lot of time on the trainer right now? Is that where you're spending most of your time right now, getting your rides in?
I'm spending a lot of time at the bar.
It's a different type of interval.
It's a different type. Yeah, I mean the curls.
And we're not talking about the bar workout or the bar
barre. Yeah. He's not going to ballet classes.
Getting some curls in.
What programs are you using when you're on the trainer, Matt?
So Zwift is the big one. I used Trainer Road for a long time, and I really like those guys. I talked to them for way back in the day when the software that I'm a software nerd, so the software that they were writing was like right up my wheelhouse, and I talked to those guys specifically about the software stuff, and that was super early on. But when Zwift came out, it was just like I was on their beta list, so I was riding for free for a while, and it was just really good, and I was like, this is great. If they put workouts into this program, it's all over. Like I'll drop Trainer Road or whatever, and I'll do this. And shortly thereafter, I mean, they were like, "Yep, we're gonna have workouts." And I looked at the workout list. I thought it was excellent, and I was like, "Okay, I don't need that much. Like, it wouldn't hurt to have more." But you can write your own workouts within Zwift if you want to. You can upload a file or whatever. So that's cool. So I did kill my Trainer Road account, and I've been Zwift all the way ever since. And I use their FTP test. They have two of them, or they used to have two of them. I don't know what they have now, but I use that. I use their longer one, and it's good. I don't think it doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be repeatable, right? So that you can check your numbers and and things like that. And then I just lie about my weight so that I can go ride with Jake.
There you go, yeah.
Yeah, I mean...
125 pounds soaking wet.
Eventually, I'm going to crack that 100-pound barrier.
There you go.
And somehow I can keep up with Jake. Yeah, so...
How about you, Evan? What are you using?
I am actually not using Zwift right now, but I am, this season coming up, really going to consider it because I do a lot of trainer riding. Yeah. Probably once a week I'm outside, and this time of year building into triathlon season, I'm doing a lot of by myself training, so I kind of need that motivation. But I get my workouts specifically from my coach. I try to follow those. He's probably rolling his eyes. I definitely don't always follow them like I should.
So is that a piece of paper then? You're just like looking at the paper and it's like 5 minutes.
I just bring up the email on my phone. Yeah, I just bring up my email on my phone.
Paper's old school.
It's funny. Last year was the first year I ever trained with a power meter. I kind of had this thing where I really liked training.
Heart rate?
No, just as numbers started to get more important, I wanted to be like the cool kid who didn't use numbers. I'm no longer the cool kid. I was never cool anyway. Right. But like, I like never used heart rate. I went purely by feel for everything. I even road raced without a bike computer. It was fun. So my last year of road racing when I was 24, there was a bunch of high school kids coming through the scene, some very, very, very fast kids in Ohio. And during a race, one of them came up to me and saw I didn't have a bike computer. And I don't know how old he thought I was, but no lie, this kid said to me during the race, he goes, man, I hope when I'm your age, I just don't care about numbers either. I think he was trying to be nice, but I've, at the age of 24, never felt so old my entire life. So
Gotta love the lack of science from the science guy.
And then the kid dropped me on the climb in the last lap. So he was a great cyclist. But yeah.
Are you training on a smart trainer?
No, not right now.
Okay.
Which trainer do you have?
Kinetic.
Oh yeah, okay, that's a good trainer.
Love them. Yeah, they're great
good
trainers.
Yeah, they are.
Very durable because I beat that thing up. So
Yeah, and I will say that Zwift's price has increased. I feel like a couple months ago they've increased. I think if you're grandfathered in for a little bit of time, eventually the price will go up for us too.
I think it was back in November they jumped the price from $10 to $15 a month, and
which is that's really pricey.
It's pricey, but if you're, and I think a big driving component behind that is a lot of people turn it off in the summer months. They don't use, they put their account on hold. So I mean, they've got to maintain their business model. So I kind of get it. Last year I let it run year round. This year I'll probably turn it off. I mean, $15 isn't breaking the bank by any means at all, but it's enough to where now I'm going to say, I probably would have let it ride at $10 and just use it like once or twice a month. Now it's going to get turned off in probably, the 1st of May. And then I'll just,
I hope it can get turned off the 1st of May. That means we got good weather. So.
Yeah. But it's a great program to use, especially when you're using a smart trainer and you can build your programs and set that thing up on erg mode. You can just have perfect workouts, and it's just up to you to push your legs over and maintain your cadence and really follow the program. And it doesn't take long to build a program in there. It's a very sound platform, and you get the social interaction of riding with other folks, and that kind of breaks the monotony of being on the trainer. That's something we all hate. It's people say, well, you can sit there and watch TV and you can listen to music and you can interact with people and you can be on your phone. It still sucks, but
and what's sad is I'll have a movie on the TV and the Zwift on the computer, and it's like, are you actually biking, or are you just like overwhelmed with screens? But I don't. It's weird. Like I'm like, well, I'm on the trainer, and even if I'm doing an easy ride, it's like I want Zwift there to keep track of my mileage and keep track of my wattage, just like to keep the numbers, even though I could have my computer do it, I guess. But it's like it's another social-ish platform,
we could pipes it over to Strava and you get a little bit of interaction that way, and it goes into your totals.
We could definitely have a whole episode talking about indoor training. I've got a couple things that were really important to me with as I was kind of developing into a more high volume trainer when I was younger. And I think there's definitely got to be that time where you take away the screen and the stimulus. I have a buddy who can tell you this story better than I can, but I had a training day where, this was years ago, I spent 5 hours on the trainer without the TV on in the basement, and then ran 20 miles after that on the treadmill without the TV on. So I tried to you're
trying to break yourself mentally.
I was trying to break myself, just see what you can do without stimulus, because you'd be amazed when we're used to Zwift or that visual input, if you're actually able to take that away. Which in the triathlon world is important. In the cycling world, no, because you got to be aware of the entire cycling race.
Thinking to myself, no thanks.
But when you're racing, I just feel like I don't feel like I never feel bored in a race. And I've
never.
Raced, I'm a slow athlete, and yet race an Ironman. That's a long time out there. So no, I mean, I don't ever feel bored. I mean, when you're racing, you're thinking about the race and you're thinking about all these little details.
And then cycling's even more stimulating as a race, as Jake knows. You're thinking about, every moment of that race is an assessment of what's going on.
Just race yesterday, for instance, 2 hours, 15 minutes on the bike, and it was just under 55 miles, if I'm not mistaken. It's time vortex. You think about it when the race is over, and if someone were to come up to you and ask you, and you never looked at any metrics or anything, like how long was that race? I don't know, 45 minutes or so, and it's 2 hours 15 minutes. I mean, it's nuts how the time just escapes you. It's quite cool. So, okay, guys. Well, I think we're just about out of time here. Any final words? Anything that you'd like to share? Any takeaways from today?
I just hope a lot of people find air so I can continue this streak of at least 2 an episode. So,
Well, if you're only at 2, you're doing really well. So.
Okay. Yeah. We'll say 2 is the threshold.
How about you, Matt?
Yeah. No, I think good group, good fun. Thanks for having us on.
Yeah, and for those of you who had a chance to listen to our first podcast, thank you so much for the feedback and kind words. This has been so much fun. And speaking of Time Vortex, man, does it get away. And that's the driving reason why we wanted to do this, because we've had some awesome conversations in the past that, it was one of those things where I'm like, if I were a fly on the wall, I would definitely listen to this conversation. I would stick right here because this is a lot of fun and entertaining. So we do appreciate your time. Again, Evan, Matt, thank you very much. And
thank you.
We will see you guys next time. Bye for now.